Welcome back to a second round of Terrified Thursdays, a weekly series leading up to the 31st of October to cover all the bizarre horror in the media we consume. Tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about a film I flocked back to recently and isn't hard to watch via Tubi, Plex, Dailymotion, Archive.org, or even someone's restored YouTube upload. Yeah, it's one of these.
Frogs lay hundreds of millions of eggs each year. What if they all hatched? I don't believe it. American International Pictures presents Frogs, the story of the day nature strikes back.
This is Frogs by Canadian film and television director George McCowan and distributed by American International Pictures. I was 8 or 9 years old when I saw this. It was a film my mother grew up watching, and for some reason she decided to rent the video from Blockbuster to watch while my sister and I were being babysat on a Friday night. I remember being taken aback by just the nature photography alone, and how in many ways it got me thinking at a young age about how B-roll and second unit operations were accomplished on a film set, further inspiring me, or I guess my urge to become a filmmaker of sorts myself. I didn't find it terrifying as a kid, but rather more impressive, and I'm more spooked by how critics and audiences to this day have judged it so harshly, rather than see it as a fun, entertaining entry in the campy genre it doesn't hide. It's almost neck and neck 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is completely insane. I guess it serves to show people have no fun or sense of humor these days. The film falls into the eco-horror category, telling the story of an upper-class U.S. Southern family known as the Crockett's, who are victimized by several different animal species, including snakes, birds, spiders, lizards, snapping turtles, alligators, as well as the occasional butterfly. Nature, the movie suggests, may be justified in exacting revenge on this family because of its patriarch's abuse of the local ecology. The film's opening credits start with wildlife freelance photographer Pickett Smith, what a name, played by Sam Elliot in his first leading role, which I should add is funny that he's taken on this cowboy persona his later years because he is fully embodying his Portland, Oregon roots here.
Look, I don't know what's going on around here, or if it's happening anywhere else, but we're a bunch of damn fools. We don't face the fact that we're in a hell of a lot of trouble, and we're gonna have to get together to fight it.
Keep on talking, Pickett, because you're the only man around here who's saying anything.
After capturing photos of pollution, his canoe accidentally gets tipped over by one of the Crockett family members on a speedboat, to which they escort him to the family estate to dry up and even stay the night. This is where we meet Jason Crockett, the crippled patriarch, who throughout the whole film is a grouchy, grumpy old man played by the Academy Award winner Ray Milland, most famous for The Lost Weekend and Dial M for Murder. You see throughout his house all the animals he's hunted for sport. He shoots a snake hanging on his chandelier, and takes a lot of pride for poisoning the lakes surrounding the property. The following day is his birthday and the 4th of July, and with the phone lines completely down, plus an army of frogs commanding every other creature in the woods to murder this family at every corner, it's up to Pickett to call it quits and get the hell out of there. Look, there's no getting around it. This is a corny B-movie from the get-go, but it's so sincere in its execution, and frankly, doesn't care how audiences interpret it. Obviously, there is an ecological debate in the film's messaging, but by the second half, I'd say the film is more concerned with just showing off the killings of the family members one by one in just entertaining ways. One of the more over-the-top death scenes is when the grandson, Michael, misfires his gun, shoots himself in the calf, which is followed by all the Spanish moss hanging from the trees, magically moving on its own to entrap him while tarantulas bite him. It makes zero sense. There's even an insert of a scorpion that shows up. In the film's pre-release prints, the Iris character, played by Holly Irving, dies by being forced into a quicksand pool by a giant butterfly and then drowning in it rather than dying by snake bite. The scene, however, was thought to be too silly looking and thus it was cut. But for a movie that has so much silly looking visuals in general, I'm astounded that was where they drew the line. Clips of the cut scene can still be glimpsed in the film's theatrical trailer, thankfully.
And then, suppose that the human race lost.
It is completely rare if a movie like this gets made today. It's said that the 500 frogs that were on set had all escaped by the end of the production, and reminds me of films like The Nest or even Roar, when you can tell that the animals were not wrangled very well. And like I mentioned earlier, the frogs are the commanders-in-chief. They don't do any of the killing themselves. By the end, Jason, in a stubborn fashion, stays at his estate, and once the frogs wind up breaking into his home, he collapses and dies of shock. The film was theatrically released on March 10th, 1972 as a double feature with Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. Not sure if that's the kind of pairing I'd go for, but why not? Hey, it was the 70s. Frogs is goofy and probably doesn't have a single clue what it actually is, but it truly is a fun time capsule to open, and I'd recommend it to anybody who just loves a classic nature revenge movie. There have been a couple restorations and screeners of the film in the last few years, which tells me people are coming around to enjoy it for the camp that it takes on so earnestly. Also, I can't help but love Frogs' tagline, "Today the pond, tomorrow the world."
Frogs, an American international picture, rated PG. Today the pond, tomorrow the world.
Well, with that all said, it's getting late on my end, so I will see you all soon on the next Terrified Thursdays.